Safe to say, Connecticut lawmakers will have a busy and challenging legislative session. Here to discuss the term ahead with a new governor is current columnist Rick Green and Senate Minority Leader John McKinney of Fairfield, who is now the highest-ranking Republican in the state. Senator, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Lori. Nice to be with you.
Tell me, clearly the biggest thing on everyone's minds is the budget, and people are bracing for those tax increases, which Governor Malloy has been forthright that will probably be part of the equation. And I wanted to ask you, are there any tax increases that you would support this term?
I think we're making a mistake if we jump right into tax increases first. The governor, I thought, hit some very positive notes in his first speech to the legislature before the people of the state of Connecticut. He acknowledged that we have a very tough economic crisis, but even he acknowledged that it was fueled by an unfriendly employer environment. He also talked about shared sacrifice, and everybody wants to know what that term means, and we'll find out how he defines it in his budget on February 16th. But my message has been people in Connecticut have been sacrificing for 2 years. Our unemployment rate is close to 10%. Over 100,000 families have lost their jobs. We've seen a record number of businesses close their doors. Some have simply left the state and moved jobs out of the state as well. So what I've said is before we can talk about increasing taxes, even President Obama and a Republican Congress negotiated not to increase taxes. Let's make sure we look at every single dollar we spend in state government. Let's see what we do as a state and whether or not we can privatize and outsource that through nonprofit providers in the area of social services. Let's get an inspector general's office like they have in the federal government to see if we can root out all the waste, fraud, and abuse in state government. Once we look at that and do all of that, then we'll see where we are with terms of our budget deficit. This is my 13th year in the state legislature. We have never seriously cut our spending. In fact, the only place where we haven't sacrificed is state government. It's still too big. It's still too bloated. We spend too much money. Let's start there, like everybody has done in the state of Connecticut. Every household is cut back. Every business is cut back. And once we've exhausted spending cuts, shrinking the size of government, consolidating agencies, then let's see where we are. Because I think what you will see, Lori, is that if we do that, and if we pass legislation that will rid some of these mandates that have hurt businesses, you will see jobs grow in Connecticut. Obviously, if we have more people working, we have more people paying taxes without even having to raise them. That should be priority number one. Then let's see where we are.
But even as you talk about cutting mandates, he just recently talked about his support for the paid sick leaves bill, which has come up and up, over the years. And in fact, I got a call from the Connecticut Working Families Party today. They're all amped up about it because he supports it, and they think this is going to be the thing to push it to passage. That has to have you concerned with it.
Well, it does, and I think it's a new governor, and I certainly respect him and want to work with him. I know we'll have some differences, but I think right now I want to not jump on him right away.
Yeah.
Let's see where he is and with his budget. But it is inconsistent to say Connecticut has an unfriendly employer environment and we're hurting jobs, and at the same time support what no other state in the country has yet to do, which is unpaid sick leave. It's inconsistent with trying to make Connecticut business friendly.
John, you, I think, hosted a very interesting gathering, I believe, last weekend of statewide Republicans. And it seemed like there is some concern out there whether the Republicans, who took something of a shellacking on the statewide office level, are open to moderate members of the party. What do you think about that? Is there room for moderates, what they call rhinos sometimes in the party?
Well, look, you can't be a majority party unless you're willing to have a big tent with everyone in it.
Right.
And that's what we ultimately want to be as Republicans. One of the things that happened Saturday, which was so exciting, is that there was a broad range of thought and policy there in the room. The other thing that we were able to share with Republicans from across the state is the elections did not go well in terms of our members of Congress and our governor and constitutional officers. But we picked up seats in the state legislature, and we picked up a good number of seats. I think we did that, Rick, because all Republicans running for the state House and the state Senate signed a pledge and a common sense commitment with positive ideas how to move Connecticut forward. And those ideas started to resonate with a lot of our constituents and voters. You will see us carry that forward over the next 2 years.
But is it a party dominated now by the Tea Party or the traditional New England moderate moderate Republican?
I think it's a broad-based party, and we need to be a broad-based party. One of the things I talk to people about how can you save money in government, I always bring up the example of Riverview Hospital, which is a state-owned facility for mentally ill kids. These are young men and women who need help. It costs taxpayers $1 million a year per child. That's simply unsustainable. We can outsource that to private hospitals for half the price. We could save $30 to $50 million annually. You don't have to be Tea Party or liberal Democrat to understand that's the right thing to do. A lot of our message, I think, resonates beyond just the walls of the Republican Party, and that's what we're trying to do as we move forward to build a party.
You brought up elections, and there are now going to be at least 9 special elections. I mean, are you targeting those?
We're targeting all 9. We have 3 in the state Senate. Special elections, Lori, unfortunately, the voter turnout tends to be low. I'd love 100% of the people to come vote. But they're great opportunities for us. They will come at a time about a week after the governor gives his budget address, and we'll be able to have a stark contrast between what our Republican candidates would support and what the Democratic candidates would support. Right now, we're 20 to 13 in the state Senate. If we were able to pick up those 3, we're at 20 to 16. I think you'd see a significant change in policy going forward to the positive if we're able to win those elections. So we are going forward in all 3 races. We will fight hard in all 3 districts and see what we can do.
Right.
How about on some of the candidates from the most recent election? We have Linda McMahon, Tom Foley. Is there a future in the party for them, particularly Foley, I'm curious about?
I think there's a future in public service or the party for both. They're good individuals. They added a lot to the public discourse during the campaign. Tom Foley is someone who I've become close with, who's very interested in helping us in those special elections we talked about.
Is he?
As is Linda McMahon. So I don't think they ran once and are going away. I think they're here to stay. Now, it may not be an elected office. I don't know. But I think they are very serious about public service and helping out the state of Connecticut.
And Rob Simmons?
Rob Simmons was at our meeting Saturday as well. I know Rob going back to his days in the state legislature. He's an American hero, and we need him involved in the party and in public service as well.
We only have a few seconds left, but we're hearing a lot again about also Sunday sales. Is that going to go through this time?
Well, I have not been a supporter of Sunday sales for the simple reason that we have a very arcane system in Connecticut about how you sell alcohol, but it has created all of these mom and pop small package stores. We have the largest number of mom and pop package stores per capita in the country. Those are real jobs. Those are real families, and 80 to 90% of our jobs come from those types of small businesses. So I would be hesitant to do something that would cost some of those small businesses to close their doors, lose jobs, because the real winner in Sunday sales financially are the big supermarkets, which are national chains. I think maybe there's a compromise where people could sell any 6 days they want. Maybe they close on a Tuesday, stay open on a Sunday. I know people want that. But I think we have to be cautious about any legislation that's going to cause small business to close its doors, and that may very well hurt small businesses.
Right. Well, we wish you good luck. We know it's going to be a challenging session ahead.
Thank you. It's going to be very challenging.
It is. Thanks to the Current's Rick Green and Senator John McKinney. Ahead, we're going to take a look at what else we can look forward to in the political year ahead.